All right, and welcome back to the last segment of the 50-50 show for today. We're going to be previewing some of tonight's games. We have 2 NBA games and 1 NFL game. We'll open with the NBA games. So the first one we want to talk about is the Suns versus Pistons. No matter, the Suns are favored by 1.5, so it should be close, but the market believes Phoenix Suns should win today. As far as I know, and as far as the market knows, Nick Richards making his debut with the Phoenix Suns as their new starting center today. Bradley Beal not playing. What do you see in this game? Who do you have winning? And what are you expecting to see from Nick Richards or either of these teams?
Okay, I have the Phoenix Suns winning. First of all, let's talk about Nick Richards. I hope for the Suns' sake that he plays well. But me personally, I'm completely befuddled by this move. I personally thought Jusuf Nurkic was quite good, mainly because I think he's really improved his performance on the defensive end, which before was a bit of a critique for him. But then he really started coming to his own as a two-way player, most likely being the third best player on this team, and then Bradley Beal fourth behind him, of course. So I have to assume there's some internal tension, locker room tension, something that's not going on. Okay? So I hope Nick Richards can hopefully fill in that gap to some degree, provide good defense. I don't care how he's on offense, all right? You look at Suns basketball, it's very much give the ball to KD, space out. Give the ball to D-Book, space out. It's just the way they do it. So then we need some good defense because KD, getting old, and D-Book has never been a good defender. We need Nick Richards to bring that defensive side of the ball. Now, if this works out, I really like that for the Suns because you have Jusuf Nurkic coming off the bench, a pretty solid center being your bench center. That's that depth. We've talked about how any team who wants to contend requires depth. This would go towards building it. I just don't know if Nick Richards is your guy to doing it. And he seems like more should be coming off the bench with Nurkic starting, but we'll see how it goes. For as why I think the Suns will win, it's KD and D-Book, man. I know D-Book's having a bit of a down season, but KD is still deadly as ever. I think he will take it personally to lose to the Pistons. So I think he's definitely going to come out shooting. He's going to be strong. And then we look at the Pistons side. They have decent defenders. They have quite good team defense. Very strong, very gritty, passionate. Just a little bit dirty maybe, if you will. But someone like Cade, he's not good at defense. So I think he's definitely someone to target. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's not good at defense. Tobias Harris, he's decent. It's really the Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart that are bringing that intensity. Thing is, players like KD and D-Book, they're all great at drawing free throws. So if Duren, if Stewart, they both have foul trouble, they're both a bit of hotheads, I think KD and D-Book can both get them into trouble, and that will pose serious issues for the Pistons. If they're in foul trouble, their defense will fall apart, and the Suns will just devour. Finally, Bradley Beal being out. While it is not great, because I do think he's the fourth best player, ultimately right now he's coming off the bench, being a creator off the bench. I think without that, you can still very much win. Because he is playing in a reduced role, but I think he's better suited for at this moment. It just means he also has less impact on their probability of winning. I think Tyus Jones, that will be interesting to see how he does. I think he should have a good game because, like I said, the Pistons have a good defense. It's mostly in the interior. I think they won't be able to pressure Tyus Jones as much, and we'll see more of the Wizards level Tyus Jones. Good assists, good playmaking. So I'll really be looking out for that, but I expect KD and D-Book to have good games if the Suns have any chance of winning.
Yeah, I completely disagree with you here and the market. I have Pistons favored, so I'm going to take them to upset, but for me, it's not even an upset. If Nick Richards starts, he will be the worst player on the floor at all times. I have him as worse than every single bench player on both teams. I have no idea why they got him. He was terrible. Mark Williams is terrible. Every single player, and specifically center that's ever come out of Charlotte, has been terrible. I have no idea why any team thought they could get a contender piece from that team. All you can get is some Laffy Taffy from their convenience, their vending machines.
You can't get a PS5, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're too broke to give you PS5s. How do you think they're going to be giving you good players? Come on. There's absolutely nothing that impresses me. If Bradley Beal was in, I would favor the Pistons more. At that point, I would be putting my entire life savings on it. Of course you would say that. But he's not, so that's one bad player removed from the Phoenix Suns lineup. Yes, D-Book and KD are by far the best players. I don't think I'm surprising anyone by saying that, and anyone who doesn't think that is probably on that Cade copium. But Cade has been improving. This is a guy who's shooting 49% from the short midi, and he shoots 9 of them a game. That makes him one of the best midi shooters in the entire league. I don't love his rim percentage, only 53. That's atrocious. That's bad even in the Plummer era. But the Phoenix Suns, as you mentioned, they don't have great rim defense. KD has gotten worse and worse at that as he's gotten older. Obviously,
D-Book's Nurkic coming off the bench.
Well, I don't even think Nurkic is playing. Nurkic isn't even playing, and D-Book and Tyus Jones obviously both not doing anything as well. So basically, if Nick Richards is way better than I think he is, Cade might have a bad game and the Suns will win. If Nick Richards is exactly as bad as I think he is, the Detroit Pistons are going to feast inside. And then I just think Detroit in general is just deeper. So not even like a matchup thing, but you got Cade, you got Tobias, you got Tim Hardaway Jr., you got Malik Beasley, you got Azar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, Simone Fontecchio. These are 4, 5, 6, 7 players, right? After D-Book and KD, your next best players are probably Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. Both of those guys are probably worse than all 7 I just mentioned. So for me, it's like when I think of how this game goes, it's KD, D-Book, 7 Pistons guys, and then the rest of the Suns lineup. And that's where the mismatch comes in for me, is your 2 best players need to carry basically a YMCA level team. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
It's a bit much.
And they keep shooting themselves in the foot because they're obviously spending money to get Nick Richards. I don't think it costs them any draft picks, but you're getting your cap space eaten up, right, when you sign these contracts. This franchise is over. This franchise is cooked. They're not winning anything. KD, baby, vet min for the Lakers. Come through anytime you want. And that's all I really got to say on this one.
Kooky Lakers fan.
The main thing, if you're watching this game, if Nick Richards has an absolute stinker of a performance, he's pretty foul prone. He's pretty bad at offense, pretty bad at defense. Okay rebounder, can't pass for jack, will turn the ball over. If all that stuff happens, you come here tomorrow and you say, wow, Omar, you really knew that this guy was absolute buns. And if he has a good game, then maybe we just won't have a stream tomorrow. That'll be the little
No, we will. We'll meet up tomorrow, don't worry.
But yeah, I got the Pistons winning. That's all I got to say about this one. So if you're all set too, then are you all set? You got anything else?
Yeah, I think ultimately I just believe in KD and D-Book enough to get it done. I think they can carry these guys to a win over the Pistons. I agree. I think Cade, one thing I actually really like about this, even though the new center they brought on, he's not that good, Cade could still have a bad game because of his reliance on the midi. He might just miss. Midi, you're more prone to variance than layups because he's already so trash at the rim. I don't see that changing just because the center on him is a little worse than the other guys he's been playing.
Yeah. We'll see, though, because one of the big things for Cade is he doesn't really know how to finish over guys taller than him because he just knows how to abuse his height advantage his whole life. Nick Richards is bad enough that I think you can actually just
I don't think so. I think Cody Richards is tall enough.
But all right, let's move on to the next game, the next NBA game. This is going to be the T-Wolves versus the Cavs. Now the market has the Cavs favored by 7.5. It opened 5.5, and I wanted the T-Wolves side. I'll let you know that right now. So the market heavily disagrees with me. They think this is getting to almost borderline blowout territory. The T-Wolves did just beat the Knicks 116-99, but that was without Cat, and this is a back-to-back. So, Omair, I've explained some of the situations here. You obviously know all the players here. What are you thinking when you're gonna, when you watch this game? What do you plan on seeing? Who do you have winning? Is it gonna be close? Is it gonna be a blowout? Talk to us.
For me, absolutely. I think it's gonna be a close game. I don't expect a blowout. I absolutely think my Cavs will take the win. For me, I think Anthony Edwards is the best player.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
I'm laughing. You want to know why I'm laughing? Not because I don't believe it. I absolutely think Ant-Man is gonna be the best player in the game. I just said with a straight face, no problem. I start laughing because I know this guy will take offense to it, and when he gets mad, I start laughing. But all that being said, I think the Cavs will still win because they're deeper. So D. Mitch, I think Ant is better. D. Mitch is not a huge chasm. D. Mitch is quite good. Garland, I think absolutely is better than Gobert. Maybe even smokes his pack level. I love Garland's playmaking. He will feast. Mobley, he's just playing really well. If he stretches the floor out, what's going to happen? So if Gobert's on Jared Allen, with Jared Allen still a lob threat. So, actually, yeah, you know what? Cavs are definitely winning, and it might actually get into blowout territory.
Bro,
okay?
talked himself into it. I thought Ant was the best player on the court, though.
No, he is, but still not now because Gobert's so bad. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what's going to happen, okay? We know Gobert. He's a DPOY player. He's gotten a bunch of those awards. He's great. What is he really bad against? Lobs. We saw in the playoffs. We saw what Gafford and Lively did to your French man. So, what do we have here? Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, both vertical athletes, both lob threats. I can easily see Garland getting the pick and roll, okay? And Edwards, he's my boy, but he's not good at defense. Mike Conley, God, please. If I have to watch Mike Conley try to watch Garland, I have to look away because that's elder abuse. So, Garland's going to get downhill easily. If Gobert comes to stop Garland, that's an easy lob for my boy Garland because he's a great passer, technically very proficient. To Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, take your pick. I don't care. At the same time, if Jared Allen's the one in the paint, he's catching that lob. Mobley's sitting in the three-point line. Whoever is guarding him has to be right there with him because he's a great three-point shooter. Paint is stretched out. What we know this about Gobert, when the defense around him is not that good, as it is with the Timberwolves, and against a great offense, Luka Doncic, great offense, Cavaliers, even better because they're a great team offense, they're going to eat him and the team alive. So yeah, you know what? I will say Cavs will blow them out. I still think Ant-Man the best player in the game, but it's a small margin, and it's not enough to overcome Gobert's lack of ability to cover them defensively, because he's good at defense, but in this situation, I don't see him doing enough to get them to win. And then Julius Randle, yeah, he's okay, but we all know Cat's better. And he's just an okay guy. Hopefully he shoots well from three. He can stretch the floor a little bit for Ant-Man. But if he can't even do that, then I don't know what Minnesota fans are expecting. So yeah, Cavaliers, I'll take the blowout. They're gonna win.
Yeah, no, I'm heavy on the T-Wolves here. The big thing for me is just that we have home court advantage. I think that's pretty big for the T-Wolves here. Yeah, I think Gobert, you can say he's slightly worse than Garland. You can say they're about equal. I definitely don't think there's a giant gap. And this is just regular season. Obviously, both have their playoff issues. And then I have Ant as worse than D-Mitch. So it's interesting that you rate Ant over D-Mitch, but you rate the team worse than I do.
Yes.
And so we'll get into that because I also think Randall's worse than Mobley.
Yep.
And Jarrett Allen smokes Jaden McDaniels.
Of course.
Right?
I mean, McDaniels, we know what he does
at this
defensively.
point, you're probably thinking I'm building up to a Cavs blowout angle. Especially then I also add Dean Wade I have over Dante DiVincenzo. So I can't name a single player on the T-Wolves so far who's better than a comparable counterpart. Just starter to starter. Really.
You know how this works, right?
But then here's the thing. Mike Conley is by far the best bench player in this game. Okay? If Dante DiVincenzo starts, Mike Conley is by far the best bench player in this game. And then Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the second best. So why do I have this game being close? The bench minutes. Especially the Cavs, they don't run their guys that heavy minutes. They're not a New York Knicks. They're not given 40 minutes. I often see Darius Garland having 28 to 30 minutes, right? Yeah. That's one of the reasons his box scores don't pop out to casuals is people don't realize he puts up 7 assists in 30 minutes. Jalen Brunson or Tyrese Halliburton, they're putting up 8-9 assists in 35 to 37 minutes, right? So per minute, Garland can hang with those guys, but the Cavs starters just don't play as many minutes. Mm-hmm. And I believe versus Minnesota, those are going to be the crucial minutes where Minnesota makes this a competitive game. Do I have Minnesota winning? Yes. I will say I will take the upset. Obviously, I'm not saying it's a 50-50 proposition. The spread is what it is for a reason. But if I have to take those plus money odds, if I have to pick an upset winner, I really like my chances with the T-Wolves here because of Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I don't mind. And as for the lob threat you're talking about, I'm not going to disagree. I definitely think lobs are one of Rudy Gobert's worst aspects because he's not a very vertical athlete. But I literally watched this man shut down the entire Warriors offense for 4 minutes just a couple of days ago.
I mean, Curry
and he was great versus the Knicks just last night. They were only able to score 99 points.
No big bodega, though.
No, exactly. I think if Evan Mobley starts hitting the three, that's when I'm really going to get worried for Gobert. But if Evan Mobley doesn't get hot from three and the only threat is the lob, then I'm comfortable with Rudy, and I think he'll really shut down the cuts to the basket from the bench players, and I think he'll shut down Darius Garland and D-Mitch attacking the basket. Because last night, I mean, he was pretty much perfect from the field, 11 points, good amount of rebounding, just excellent game. I've just been liking what I'm seeing from Rudy, and I think the team chemistry has gotten a little better because you might not be able to tell from like how many games they're winning, but before Minnesota was losing when Ant was shooting, as you like to say, Steph Curry level. Recently, Ant's been shooting worse and worse, just regressing to a more normal percentage, but they've really been winning about the same amount of games. And I think obviously part of it is Dante DiVincenzo starting and providing a spark, but I think their chemistry is just getting a little better. They've got to be having these conversations in the locker room. And so as long as those issues continue to get fixed, then I'm more and more confident in my actual ratings of the players. And I rate Rudy Gobert really highly. I rate Mike Conley really highly. And I think it's just a home court advantage. I think that can't be understated. So I got Minnesota. They might even just win it. But if they lose, it's going to be a close loss. And if Ant is the reason they lose, you can expect me to be here tomorrow talking about that and preaching to the choir about my French boy. Pause.
Yeah, boy. I was gonna say.
Anyways, that's it for me on this game. I'm taking the bench angle. You're basically just saying the starters are so much better. It should be pretty winning. I get that. Now, real quick, I want to talk about the NFL game before we wrap up the show. We don't talk a lot of NFL on the show, but we do watch it. Chiefs versus Texans, two teams we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience with. I'd like to open on this one if you don't mind.
Please do.
So the Chiefs are favored by 8.5 in this game, and the Chiefs are famously a team that wins but doesn't cover. That's like a betting thing people talk about. And I mean, you see it with your eyes. Like when they win, it's always in sort of weird ways. Like I think back to the Carolina Panthers game this season where it was like, are they really going to lose to the Carolina Panthers? And then they barely won. All the players were like low-key disgusted when they won. They won off like a field goal. They were like, we barely just beat this team, right? That's exactly what the Chiefs are. But they've done it enough for so many years that for me, it's like something I've accepted. Because as a fan or even as a hater, really, you might be like, oh, they're getting lucky. The refs keep bailing them out. Variance. I don't think it's any of those things. I think Patrick Mahomes is the kind of quarterback that just gets you the win. That's a sign of greatness. I look at Tom Brady. I look at LeBron, MJ, and the NBA.
If it's truly that great, why the games get so close?
Well, because the team isn't actually that good. And I think in the regular season, he definitely struggles more than he does in the playoffs. Like when you look at his most quarterbacks do worse in the playoffs. You look at, people critique Lamar Jackson. I'm not a hater of Lamar Jackson at all, but I think there's no doubt to anybody. Lamar Jackson in the regular season versus Lamar Jackson in the playoffs is like really, really good versus just like okay, right?
Two different players.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is one of the few. I think like you remember like Eli Manning, right?
Who could forget him?
Yeah. So Peyton Manning being the better brother and having all the MVPs. But Eli Manning, one of those guys who felt like he stepped up in the playoffs. Those 2 Super Bowl rings required a lot of clutchness from him. Even when he choked in the first half, he would clutch up in the second half, right? Obviously, Patty Mahomes on a different level. But there's just some of these quarterbacks that in the playoffs level up. Obviously, the playoffs are starting here. So this guy is either my GOAT or my second best quarterback. It's him versus Tom Brady. I'll just say second for now so I don't upset anybody, but this is the era of player we're talking about here. And so they're rightfully favored by 8.5. I don't know that they win by 8, 9 or more, but I definitely have them winning, and I just wanted to talk about some of the reasons. The main one being that I've talked about this before with the NFL. Receivers don't matter. I've never felt receivers matter. Tom Brady showed it to us. Patrick Mahomes has been showing it to us. A couple other great quarterbacks have shown it to us. If you're like you think about like Jokic in the NBA, right? I think of him as a quarterback. He shows that too. In any sport, when you're distributing, when you get to make a bunch of decisions, you don't need great athletic guys. Like it's good to have them, but if you just have guys who will listen to you, you can make them look great. So I'm not worried about the lack of receivers we have. And we got some decent guys. Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins. Travis Kelce was looking really bad at the beginning of the year. Now he's looking okay. But it's really about the QB, our O-line, and our defense. So the defense is what I want to key in on. Steve Spagnuolo, his Chiefs defense has always been famous. You got Chris Jones and Nick Bolton as the anchors. You got McDuffie as one of the best corners in the league. And I'm just expecting some really high-level blitz packages. And C.J. Stroud had a press conference where he talked about it. Like, he is aware of it. He's not stupid. But ultimately, he's just a young quarterback. Even if you know about it and your coaches have been telling you about it and you've been preparing all week for those blitzes, it's easier to do. It's easier to talk about and think about than to actually do. So I really think the young quarterback is going to struggle with that in C.J. Stroud. The Jalen Watson injury was tough for the Chiefs defense. They went from the 6th passing defense to the 30th in the middle of the season. And they went from the second best rushing defense to 24th. So if you watched a lot of Chiefs in the middle of the season, you might have started thinking their defense was really quite bad. But as we wrap up the season, these last couple of weeks, they've been like one of the best passing defenses, second, and now they're the 13th best running defense. So almost top 10 in both categories. The Texans defense, I've seen a lot of people talking about, especially through Azil Al-Shair. But the Chiefs defense is arguably better. So that's the main thing I wanted to talk about in this game. Like, the total's already pretty low. I think most people know it's going to be probably low scoring. It's going to be gritty. And I just think if that's true, which most people would say it is, give me the quarterback that can make magic happen. Because if it's like a blowout, like it's a really high-scoring game, it gets scary. But if the game's always going to be within a touchdown or within a field goal, give me the guy who can go create a touchdown out of his butt. That's where I'm at. So maybe I'm going to come off, we are from Texas. C.J. Stroud, been doing well. I definitely think the Amber Rose curse hit him a little bit. I've talked to you about that. I think he's doing a little worse. But
sophomore slump.
Yeah, no, it's a sophomore slump. They lost Tank Dell again.
Yep. That really hurt them because they're doing quite well with Dell.
And Nico Collins still balling out.
Yeah, Nico Collins still doing well, but you tell me receivers don't matter. Are you going to say that Tank Dell being out isn't making a huge impact for the Texans and the chances?
I think if C.J. Stroud was like a better quarterback than Patty Mahomes, you're not saying he lost that battle because he doesn't have Tank Dell. I think C.J. Stroud is like, let's say, the 12th best quarterback in the league. I'm just throwing out a number. Maybe he's like 8th. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but to me, Patty Mahomes in the playoffs is number 1. So I think Patty Mahomes with DeAndre Hopkins and Xavier Worthy and an old Travis Kelce would beat even a healthy Tank Dell, Nico Collins, whoever you want to, Stephon Diggs, whoever you want to put out there for receivers.
Diggs, I believe, is also out.
Yeah, he's out too. But I'm saying even if they were all healthy, right? I think people might point at the receiver core, and I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, especially a young quarterback. I think receivers matter more when you're young, because when you're young, you might throw up some of those dumb balls, and you need the receivers to be athletic and go get it. When you're an elite quarterback, you put it like. It gets to the point where, like, obviously I would die if I got hit by an NFL player, but someone like Mahomes can make it so that it drops into someone like my hand. I didn't, who doesn't play football at a high level. You look at some of these younger guys, and it's like, you threw it, but, like, the receiver had to run and go get it. So I think it matters a little bit specifically because C.J. Stroud isn't as good as Patty Mahomes.
You bring up some decent points. For me, I'm going to be taking the Texans. Just because I
got them winning, or you just got them covering the spread, like keeping it close?
I got them covering the spread. They're going to keep it close because the reason I say that is because, like I said, you said it yourself, the Texans defense is quite good. The Chiefs defense is also good. So it's going to be a gritty game. We got two good defense going at it. So then it comes down to offense. I'm not going to be dumb and say my homeboy is worse than Stroud. He's obviously better, but I still think Stroud, he can also make some of that magic happen. He has a bit of that quality. That's what we saw last season. You have to remember, he's a rookie who won, I think, the wild card round. So he's shown when the playoff lights turn on, pressure goes up, he delivers. Okay, I know that the new magnitude, they got past the wild card round. Remember, they were underdogs to beat the Chargers. They whooped the Chargers trick. Now they're here. They got here off the back of Stroud's performance in the last season too.
Stroud and the defense,
of course,
4 interceptions.
Absolutely,
from Herbert.
The defense played amazingly. But I also want to give credit to Stroud because it's a quarterback-driven league. But yes, the defense played quite well. So they're showing themselves too. I want to say last season, even though they lost in the divisional round, I think the defense was a little worse. And that wild card round, I just really liked what I saw from Stroud. To do that as a rookie, that's that magic. So he's a sophomore. He might not be there yet. But I think we're going to see those exact qualities come into play. Okay, he's always showing his awareness of the game, his maturity, talking about those blitz packages. That's exactly what I want to see from my young QB. So I'll say this: I think he's going to make sure the game is close. But ultimately, I think he will lose because I of course don't think Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT, but he is a very good player and he absolutely does turn it on in the playoffs. So it's going to be a close game, but I expect good things from Stroud.
Yeah, all right. I mean, we'll be seeing that. I guess I'll take the Chiefs spread. I'm not, I just have the Chiefs winning. That's more so what I'm confident in. But I'll take them, man. I'll take them. 2 tutties. Win by 14, baby. Well, actually, no. 10. A tutty and a field goal. Anyways, that's really all we have to say for that one. And we've talked about the 2 other NBA games that are going to be played tonight. So we'll be back tomorrow to discuss some of the best games that were played today and then preview tomorrow's games.